Hey, Seth here. So, time for another video on the Metatocracy. In this video, we're going to be talking about the three problems with the pyramid system. Previously, I have already mentioned the three primary problems with that humanity is currently facing, and so we've covered money, we've covered the education system, and we covered that the pyramid system are the three primary problems. We went deeper into money. There's really not much deeper we can go into education at this moment, or at least not that I've thought of yet. So the next thing we're going to go deeper into is the pyramid system, which has three problems in and of itself, okay? One of them we've already mentioned, which is basically the biggest problem, what it presents as the biggest problem for humanity at the moment, which is that it's based on automatic inequality, right? So that's heads the top of the list right there. Automatic inequality. The pyramid system is based on automatic inequality, and it generates automatic inequality, and it keeps us locked into the perception of automatic inequality, where the people at the top of the pyramid are considered more important, more powerful, have more authority, ought to have more wealth, etc., which trickles down in smaller and smaller amounts the further down the pyramid you go. Obviously, most people, I'd venture to say a good 90% at the very least of people, are at the bottom of this pyramid, okay? So it's really unfair to all of humanity that basically every business and every government throughout this entire planet uses this pyramid structure and takes on the automatic assumption that people are by nature unequal, that some people are more important or more powerful or should have more authority and wealth than others. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not even anywhere near correct. Problem number two is that it forces selfishness upon people. And it does this by forcing us to have to survive, okay? Like I said, a good portion, 90% of almost everybody that exists on this planet is on the bottom of this pyramid. Now, the people at the bottom of this pyramid are either making absolutely nothing because there's slavery still exists in this world, or they're wage slaves making next to nothing and struggling every single day just to survive, okay? Now, survival, believe it or not, I know this kind of sounds a bit mean, but it's the reality and the truth of it. Survival is a selfish behavior, okay? When you have to survive, then you're forced into selfish behavior. When you have to survive, you don't have time to think about what you'd like to do to serve others. The only thing you can think about is what you have to do for yourself right now or for your family, okay? And family is basically just an extension of the self. So survival forces selfishness upon people, selfishness that otherwise wouldn't be there in the first place, because most people by nature aren't selfless, they're selfless, okay? Most people want to do things for other people before they serve themselves. I mean, yes, everybody has services they provide for themselves. They need sleep, they need proper hygiene, clothing, heat, hot water, they have to provide for themselves, but most people provide for themselves by providing a service to others, okay? This is the normal thing of how it usually works, right? And that's the way the idea is supposed to be, You have to serve others before you can serve yourself, right? Because only in serving others do you have the capacity to serve yourself, right? But forcing everybody into survival, we're no longer serving others to serve ourselves. We're serving ourselves to serve ourselves, okay? We're working for some company or business just to barely be able to survive. We're not thinking about what this business needs or what it needs from us or what we could do to help this business along. We don't care about that when we're locked into survival mode. The only thing we care about is making sure we get that paycheck, because just surviving is so difficult for us that we don't have the capacity to think in a longer term sense of what we could do for that company and what that company can do for other people, and what we can do for other people through that company, right? We don't have the capacity to think about that when we're stuck trying to survive. So instead, all we're thinking about is, this is what I got to do for me, 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 me. Okay, I need this job for me. I need this job for that paycheck. I need this job so that I can buy food for my kids, so that I can pay the bills at the house, etc., etc., etc. And then for those people who do kind of have a sense of service towards others to at least somewhat of a degree, start moving up this pyramid and start making more money, that sense of selfishness that originally derives from survival builds and grows into a form of corruption, okay? And the higher you get to the top of that pyramid, the more that corruption forms into the third problem, which is narcissism, okay? The pyramid structure generates narcissism. Narcissism in the absolute dictionary definition sense of narcissism. The guy at the top of the pyramid is the ultimate narcissist, okay? Maybe it doesn't start out that way, right? When this guy's starting his company, he might not be a narcissist. But if you look at the banks and our governments, right, the guy at the top of the pyramid is clearly a complete and total narcissist. I mean, people might hate me when I say this, but look at Donald Trump. Is he not a complete and total narcissist? And right now, where is he? He's at the top of two pyramids. He's the president of the United States at the moment, and he's a CEO of his organization. Top of the pyramid, he is an extreme narcissist. Do you think anybody with this narcissist at the top with a narcissist at the top of the pyramid, the only people that can travel up that pyramid are those who become more and more and more narcissistic, or closer and closer and closer to that same level of narcissism as this guy at the top, right? That's the only way it's going to work. So we force everyone to survive, and we turn them into narcissists as they grow, all right? So this is the primary problem with the pyramid structure system. But now, let's talk about how the metatocracy solves that. All right, so in the metatocracy, we have, instead of a pyramid system, a system of circles within circles, right? I'm only going to draw a few here. I'm not going to draw the entire thing out. It'll take too long. And I'll just draw these in like this. My marker's fading. Sorry. Hope you can actually see it. Sort of. Well, in any case, so in a system like this, there is no top, there is no bottom, right? It's pretty obvious just from looking at that. And if there's no top and there's no bottom, then right away there's this automatic perception of equality, okay? Equality is built right into the system. Automatic equality. Survival is a problem that's going to take longer to solve, simply because until Holobank is created, as you might recall from the previous video on Holobank, until Holobank is created, there's really no way we can actually afford to create an equal pay structure for everybody across the board without stepping on somebody's toes and making somebody angry. It might make some people happy, but it'll make some people angry, and we need to find that middle ground between the two. That and the whole ideology that, you know, more responsibility deserves more pay is something we have to overcome as we move forward into the future. More responsibility just means more responsibility. You know, it means, you know, kudos to you for taking on more responsibility. It doesn't make you more or less important than anybody else, right? And in the future, eventually everybody will receive an equal amount of pay. Why? Because every single position is of an equal amount of importance. Regardless of how much responsibility goes into that position, you take away that position from the company no longer functions. The company falls, okay? It ceases to exist, right? Which means every position is literally equal in any organization. And if you can take a position away from an organization and that organization will still function, then that position doesn't need to exist. Period, point blank. Get rid of it. You know, it's an inefficiency. It doesn't need to be there. So the only positions that it should exist in a company are ones that, you know, it actually requires. If you took it away, the business wouldn't function. It would cease to exist. And as long as a position would cripple, taking it away would cripple an organization, then it's of equal value to every other position. And every position thereby deserves an equal amount of pay. And so unfortunately, it'll take a long time to get to that point, but we will get to that point, I promise you, when holobank becomes a reality for this alternative society. And so that's how we eventually can overcome the whole survival mode. In the meantime, we can at least start, you know, closing the gap between how much money the people at the center of the circles are making. The center of the universe is called the universe structure. So the people at the center of the universe, otherwise known as the people at the top of the pyramid, you know, we can start closing that gap, so that the people who used to be at the bottom of the pyramid are now at the innermost parts of this universe, are making more money, and they don't have to struggle so much to survive anymore. You know, actually consider their worth and their value, right? So take from the rich to give to the poor. In other words, the whole Robin Hood philosophy, right? We can definitely start doing that in the meantime without stepping on people's toes too much. And we should be doing that in the meantime anyway. That way, when holobank is established and we go, okay, everybody's equal across the boards, it doesn't come as a shock to anybody. You know, we're already like almost there. Would be the best way of going about that. And then finally, narcissism. Obviously, if you're taking away selfishness by not forcing people into survival mode, then yeah, there's always going to be the one freaking narcissist that cares about nothing but himself or herself and whatever. And honestly, those kinds of people will end up getting voted out of this model, right? Because this, remember, is a democratic anarchy, right? And what I mean by that is it's democratic and everyone is of equal value, equal importance, equal voting power, okay? Everybody gets to participate in the voting, including who's at the center of this universe, right? This universal core, as we call it, otherwise known typically as the CEO of a business, can get voted out, not just by his board of directors that surround him, or board of trustees, as we would call them, but also by everybody else in the business. If everybody else in the business doesn't like what the UC or CEO is doing, they can vote him out and vote somebody else in. Okay, so if somebody's going to be a royal freaking narcissist in this model, they're not going to last very long. They're going to get voted out, because that's what happens when you actually give an equal amount of power to everybody and put the power of, you know, who's getting hired, who's getting fired, and, you know, what are the policies, right? When you put that power into the hands of everybody in a systematic way of debating and voting upon these things that works, you can only achieve harmony in the workplace throughout the entire organization. And narcissism cannot thrive in an environment like that, because narcissism requires the pyramid structure in order to exist, because narcissism requires that this person has all of the power and can exert that over everybody else without consequence, okay? If that happens in this model, that person simply gets voted out. They're done, they're gone. You don't have to worry about them anymore. You put somebody new in their place and you move on, right? So this universal model overcomes every single problem and obstacle that is created by the pyramid system. And so this is what we need to do. This is what I'm doing with my organizations. And over time, eventually, these organizations and other people that catch on and start doing this, we can come together and form our own alternative society that gets rid of all of these problems that come with typical society just because of how it's organized and how it operates. We can overcome these problems, we can overcome these obstacles, and we can make the world a better place, one business at a time. So, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, click on like, click on subscribe so that you can get more videos. If you're watching this on Facebook and you liked it, make sure you share, because obviously we need to spread the word about this as quickly as possible so that we can get this rolling. Okay, have a good day.